Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. During this sharing session, we will be sharing important tips on cybersecurity and cybercrime to protect you as you go online. My name is Benedict Chong, and I'm from the Cybersecurity Agency of Singapore. With me, we have ASP Greg Sim from the Singapore Police Force.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. Over to you, Benedict.
Thank you. So before we start the session, let's first try to understand what cybersecurity is. Cybersecurity is basically the practice of protecting your internet-connected devices and systems from cyber threats. And cybersecurity is very important because the cyber threats out there are very real. Every year, CSA releases our findings from our annual National Cybersecurity Public Awareness Survey and the Singapore Cyber Threat Landscape Report. Last year, our findings showed that there was an increase in the number of respondents who indicated that they had fallen victim for a cyber incident at least once. These cyber incidents can include tech support scams, phishing scams, online scams, or other forms of cybercrime. So as mentioned earlier, cybersecurity is very important. All of us here own at least one smart device. Most of us own many more smart devices. We have our laptops, our smartphones, our tablets, many other devices that are connected to the internet. These days, even our refrigerators and air conditioning units can connect to the internet. That is why it is very important for us to be alert and vigilant. So how can we protect ourselves? Well, for a start, we can protect ourselves by monitoring our online accounts. Many of us have multiple online accounts across various platforms. We have our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter. We have our banking accounts, internet banking accounts, and we send emails daily. Having so many accounts will naturally increase the attack surface area, or as we put it, our exposure to cyber threats. However, we do not have to be fearful of technology. We just need to be more alert and more vigilant about the use of our devices and the security of our online accounts. So as we go, nowadays we have many online accounts to do various activities online. We can do our shopping online, we can order food online, we can carry out banking transactions online, and many other things. So how do we secure our online accounts from unauthorized access? Basically, there are two ways. We can create and use strong passwords, and we enable two-factor authentication where possible. I earlier emphasized how important it is to have good password management and to use a strong password. This slide illustrates an example of what happens if we do not use a strong password. Some of us may have seen in the news recently about home monitors or home cameras in Singapore being vulnerable to unauthorized access by cybercriminals. Such access is usually only made possible due to poor password management. The users of these home monitors likely used default passwords and default usernames in their internet-enabled home cameras. In the next slide, let's watch a video on how we can create strong passwords.
Password 123. But I typed in the correct password. Oh, or could it be ABC 12345? Someone's logged into my account! I've been hacked! So how do you prevent your online accounts from getting hacked like this? You see, there are cyber criminals out there who want to hack into your online accounts to steal your personal and financial information. So a weak password like this just makes it easier for them. In fact, a cyber criminal can crack this password in seconds. And they may even use your accounts and pretend to be you so that they can scam your family and friends. You wouldn't use a weak door lock to keep your home safe. So why use weak passwords for your online accounts? Here's how you can create passwords that are strong and yet easy to remember, and add extra security to your online accounts. First, think of a phrase with 5 or more words, something related to a memory only you would know. Remember to avoid information that cybercriminals can easily obtain, guess, or may already know, such as your child's name or your birthday, those sorts of things. And make sure it's at least 12 characters. It can still be stronger. To make your password even harder to crack, add uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and even throw in a symbol or two. Now that's much stronger. Next, protect your account further by adding another layer of security. We call this two-factor authentication, or 2FA. With 2FA, there are 2 types of information required, which helps to verify your identity. With the first factor being your password. The second factor is usually a one-time password you get through an SMS or a physical token. It can also be your fingerprint. Now, enabling this extra layer of security might seem troublesome, but activating 2FA means that even if a cybercriminal manages to crack your password, he still won't be able to access your account. This is because he wouldn't have that second factor, which is your one-time password and your fingerprint. 2FA is readily available for many of your online accounts, including email and social media. It can be easily set up for Facebook like this. And you can also activate 2FA for your WhatsApp by doing this. So do remember to enable it wherever it's available. What else can you do to protect your accounts? Here are some good practices. Always have different passwords for each of your online accounts. This is so that if the password for one of your accounts gets compromised, the other accounts will remain unaffected. Also, never write your passwords down and leave it out where anyone can see it. And if you find it difficult to create strong passwords and remembering all of them, an alternative would be to use a password manager. Remember to use a password manager with 2FA support. And don't share your passwords or OTP with anyone who asks for it. It could be a scam. Now, in case you're wondering how you can check if your password is strong enough, you can test it right here at this URL. Take my password, for example. This will take cybercriminals about 212 million years to crack. So be sure to use strong passwords and enable 2FA. Because it's always better to be cyber safe than sorry.
I hope we all learned something new here about the creation of strong passwords. Still, let's together go through an example of how we can create a strong password using a passphrase. In this activity, let's pick a topic. For me, I will pick holiday. We write at least 5 words. In this case, we have Chinese New Year in Kuala Lumpur 2020. When we combine this passphrase, we can potentially get CNY in KL 2020 exclamation mark. Now, does this fulfill the criteria of a strong password? Remember what the video said. There are a few prerequisites to a strong password. They have at least 12 characters, they have upper and lower case letters, they have special characters or symbols, and they have at least 1 number. This password certainly fits the bill. I encourage you to try this activity later on your own time. There are several don'ts when creating strong passwords. First, we should never use personal information as part of a password. We should not use our own personal information, neither should we use the information of our friends and family. Definitely, we should not use the name, NRIC, or birth dates. We should also avoid common phrases such as "May the Force be with you." This obviously came from the Star Wars movie. Or obvious patterns like Lim Family 123. As mentioned earlier, many of us have multiple accounts across various platforms. Still, we should refrain from using the same password across all accounts. The reason being that if there is a credential leak or data dump in one of these platforms, your other accounts may also be vulnerable to unauthorized access if you use the same passwords for all. So what should we do then? How can we remember so many passwords? Should we write them down? No, definitely not. The solution or the alternative is to use a password manager. But what is a password manager? Well, a password manager is a way to help you remember your complex passwords to your various accounts. It stores your login information and helps you to fill them in automatically without having to remember the password to each account. You only need to remember one password, which is the password that you use to access your password manager. Should you be keen on trying out a password manager, this slide contains a few examples of password managers: Dashlane, Passlane, Keeper, so on and so forth. Do bear in mind that this list is non-exhaustive and that CSA does not endorse any of them. You are encouraged to go online to search for more options as well as the password manager that best suits your purposes. Next, let's do a quiz on what we have learned so far about strong passwords. So the question, which is the strongest password in this list? There are 4 options. Please submit your answer through the Facebook poll. Now remember what we learned in the video earlier as well as the example that I ran through. A strong password will have at least 12 characters. It will have lower and uppercase letters. It will have special characters or symbols. And it will have at least one number. Which of these options best meet this criteria? I'll give you some time to submit your answer. Some of these answers may be pretty close, but there is only one password that is the strongest out of them all. So I see that the answers are coming in and that the majority says that the correct answer is option number 2. And yes, that is correct. Some of you may be wondering, why is option number 4 not correct? Isn't it a complex password? Well, yes, that is true. It does look like a complex password. However, it does not contain a minimum of 12 characters, which makes it easier to crack compared to option number 2. However, option number 4 is undoubtedly the next strongest password after option number 2. Should you wish, you may also test out the CSA password checker. Over here, you can key in your password and the backend algorithm will tell you the number of years it takes to crack your password using current technologies. Of course, the longer it takes to crack your password, the stronger it is. I'll give you a few seconds to scan the QR code or to note down the link. Alright, so moving on. I mentioned earlier that besides the creation of strong passwords, we also need to enable two-factor authentication or 2FA in order to secure our online accounts. 2FA is basically a second layer of security that ensures that even if an attacker obtains your password, he or she will not have access to your online account. Let me give you an analogy. Let's say you have a door to your house with 2 locks. If a robber has the key to one lock, he or she will still not have access to your house because he does not have the other key. 2FA, in this case, can come in the form of a one-time password sent to you via SMS or email or through an authenticator app, or it can be just biometric, your fingerprint or your facial features. Many of us use WhatsApp as a daily means of communication with our family and friends, even for work. This makes the security of our WhatsApp account very important, or attackers may assume our identity to exploit the trust relationship we have with our contacts. Exploitation of this trust relationship may lead to our family and friends giving out their personal information. Let us now watch a video on how to enable 2FA for WhatsApp. Due to time constraints, we will not be going through how to enable 2FA for every single account or popular account that we may have. However, in this slide, there are QR codes for the more popular social media account, Facebook, as well as email accounts for popular email platform providers. I'll give you a couple of seconds to scan the relevant code, and then you can enable 2FA if you haven't already. So moving on, I'll touch on what you can do if you suspect that your account has been compromised. Number one, if you still have access to your account, you should log out of all devices that are connected to the account and change the password immediately. You should also enable 2FA if possible and if you haven't already. This should ordinarily secure your online account. If you no longer have access to your account, we advise that you approach the platform provider for account retrieval. So if you no longer have access to your Facebook account, you approach Facebook. If you have no access to your Instagram account, you approach Instagram directly. If you suspect that your banking account has been compromised, we encourage you to approach your bank directly. Notify them and monitor your financial statements for any suspicious transactions. If you notice any suspicious transactions, do notify the bank immediately for transaction reversal, as well as the police as well as report the matter to the police. You can report the incident to the police at any neighborhood police post or online at the website stated in the slide. Should your social media account be compromised, let's say your WhatsApp account be compromised, we encourage you to warn and notify your family and friends. This is because, as mentioned earlier, attackers who hijack your account may exploit them to extract personal information from your family and friends. In this next section, let me introduce you to malware. Some of us may have heard of what malware is, some of us may not have. Those of us who have heard of what malware is may not know how to protect ourselves from malware. Basically, malware or malicious software are programs devised to compromise the security of a computer system or network. To help you better understand what malware is, let me run through a few common examples of malware. First, we have a computer virus, which I'm sure many of us will be familiar with. It's a program that can copy itself and spread very quickly like real-life viruses. It tends to be contained within the computer. Next, we have a worm, which is a malicious code designed to copy itself and make use of the network to spread to other devices within the network. At times, this worm can spread to other networks if they are not air-gapped. Third, we have a Trojan horse. Trojan horses are basically malicious programs often disguised as legitimate software. Users will typically be tricked into downloading or clicking on them, and this will give attackers unauthorized access to their mobile phones or devices. A very common type of Trojan horse will be a banking Trojan. Banking Trojans are basically malware designed to steal internet banking information, your username and passwords, or your credit card details. Next, we have ransomware, which has hit the news pretty often recently. It is basically malware that locks or encrypts the files in your device and makes them inaccessible until a ransom has been paid to the attacker. We also have adware, which is a program that pops up unwanted advertisements, and they usually tend to be difficult to close. Last but not least, we have keyloggers, which is a software or hardware that can intercept and record inputs from input devices like your keyboard or your mouse. So why should malware concern you? Well, malware should concern you because it can give attackers unauthorized access to your device, and through this allow them to delete, corrupt, or steal information from you. Devices can typically be infected by clicking on malicious links in phishing emails or messages or SMSs, by opening malicious attachments in emails and messages, or simply by downloading malicious apps. Last year, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw fake COVID-19 contact tracing apps appearing online. These apps usually contain malware designed to steal information or monitor phone activity. Information stolen usually include internet banking details or credit card details. There are also other types of malware that can infect your device without you specifically doing anything. You do not have to click on a link in order for your device to be infected. This can happen when you use unsecured Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi without a password, or when you visit websites that are hosting malware. Using a device or using a software that is not updated to the latest version may also lead to a malware infection. Now that we know what malware is and how we can possibly be infected by malware, let us learn how to spot common signs of infection. Usually, when your device is infected with malware, there may be blocked access to your system and ransom is demanded. This is a form of ransomware. If we have friends complaining of receiving strange messages from us, this is usually because someone has gained unauthorized access to our device and sent these messages. If your screen is bombarded with pop-ups of unwanted advertisements, this is a form of adware, as we saw earlier. The next three examples, unanticipated frequent system or program crashes, unexpected decrease in disk space, or slowing down of computer programs and internet connection, may be due to computer viruses, worms, misconfigured malware. So how do we protect our devices from malware? There are two ways. Number one, we download and install an antivirus application. And number two, regularly update the softwares in our devices. I will share more about these 2 points in the following slides. Most of us have already probably installed and heard of antivirus software, and we probably already have one installed in our computers. If you use a Windows laptop, you probably already have an antivirus software bundled in with the operating system, Windows Defender or Microsoft Defender. But did you know that antivirus softwares are also very important for mobile phones? Here are some factors to consider when choosing an antivirus application. Of course, the most important feature of antivirus application is that it should be able to detect, scan your device, and remove known malwares. Other antivirus applications can also offer other features like blocking phishing websites or scanning email attachments for you. If you need to install an antivirus application, we encourage you to go online and read the reviews. Choose an antivirus application that best suits your needs. Next, we spoke about updating your software regularly. The reason being that software updates keep your computers and your devices safe by patching known security vulnerabilities and bugs. Putting off these updates can potentially make your device more vulnerable to security threats and attacks. We should also enable automatic updates. Now, I understand that some of us may not wish to enable automatic updates because we think that it may interfere with our use of the device. However, if we enable automatic updates, we can always schedule when these updates occur. For me, I schedule these updates to occur overnight when I'm asleep and over Wi-Fi so that my data does not exceed. Let us now do a short quiz to test on what we have learned in the past few slides. Downloading attachments from unknown senders can be harmful for your device. True or false? Please submit your answer in the Facebook poll. Now remember what we went through earlier, how your device can potentially be infected with malware. Yes, usually it will be through the clicking of So your device can be infected by malware, by clicking on links, by visiting unknown websites, by using unsecured Wi-Fi. Which of these points suit the answers? Maybe let me give you a few more seconds to recall what we have learned in the... Yes, so I see that the majority of you said true, and yes, that is correct. Hopefully we see less malware infections in the days to come. I will now touch on another type of phishing, another type of cyber threat, phishing. Phishing is basically a method used to trick victims into giving out their personal and financial information. Such information can include your password, your usernames, your one-time passwords, your bank account numbers, your credit card numbers. There's many information that attackers hope that we divulge. In the next slide, let's watch a video to understand more about what phishing is.
$1,000 for the first 100 customers? Register now? Okay, I could really use that $1,000. Hey, wait! Hey, what's happening here? Why is all my money disappearing? What you've seen here is an example of a phishing scam. Phishing is a method used by cybercriminals to trick you into giving away your personal and financial information. And they do this by sending emails or messages that look like they come from people we know or from official organizations, but are actually created by cybercriminals to trick you. See? Like these. And once you get tricked into giving away your information through phishing scams like these, cybercriminals can use it to access your online accounts, take your money, and even impersonate you to scam your family and friends. Now, you wouldn't share your personal and financial information openly with everybody, right? So why give away your information to cybercriminals? Here are 6 signs of phishing that you need to look out for. First, when you receive SMSs or emails asking for your details, see if the information is mismatched or if the link leads you to unfamiliar websites. Look at the sender's email address for this email. Is it really the bank's official email address? Suspicious, isn't it? And if you do get an email that's supposed to be from the government, well, check that there is a proper gov.sg in the email address or URL. Now, if the address or URL does not have gov.sg and you want confirmation that it's really from the government, you can still verify it at this URL. And also, check the links in the email. Hover your mouse on top of the link. And if you're on a mobile device, press and hold on it for a while to see the link it leads to. If the links don't match with the organization they claim to be from, someone might be trying to phish you. Number 2, urgent or threatening language. Be wary of phrases such as urgent action required or your account will be terminated. That's a common tactic cybercriminals use to make you panic so that you will respond quickly. So don't be fooled. If you're not sure what to do, check with your family and friends. You can also ask for help by calling this number. Next, saw an amazing deal online? Or a chance to win cash just by clicking on the link and providing your personal details. Put simply, if it sounds too good to be true, it's likely to be a phishing scam. And remember this, most organizations will never ask you to send them your personal or financial information over the internet. If you receive such requests, call the organization directly and check what's going on. Do not use the number given in the email, but look for their contact information through their official website. Another sign of phishing is in unexpected emails, like this. This can be emails about something you don't recall doing or seem unrelated to you. If, for instance, you get an email requesting payment for something you don't recall buying, do not click on any of its links or attachments. Lastly, be careful with attachments in emails. Many people will feel tempted to open attachments to see what it is, and cybercriminals know this, and that's why they may use email attachments as a means to infect your device with malware and steal your information. So look out for strange-sounding attachment names and file types like .exe. If it looks strange, delete it immediately. And there you have it. Keep these 6 signs in mind to help you avoid falling for phishing scams, because it's always better to be cyber safe than sorry.
Let's now do a recap of what we have learned in the previous video. There are 6 common signs of phishing that has been identified by CSA. Number 1, we have mismatched and misleading information. For this, we typically will look at the sender's email address and see whether it matches the official email address or tries to resemble the official email address. If it does not match, it is one sign of phishing. Number 2, unexpected emails. Number 3, the use of urgent or threatening languages. Scammers will usually try to pressure us into acting immediately in order to get our personal information. Number 4, suspicious attachments inside the phishing email. Number 5, there is also the promise of attractive rewards that entice us to do a survey or something that will enable the scammers to get our personal information. Last but not least, we have a request for personal information. As we saw in the video earlier, official organizations, legitimate organizations will usually not request for our personal information unsolicited and over the internet. Let's do an activity now on how to spot phishing. Now remember, in the video and what I mentioned earlier, there are 6 common signs of phishing. Number 1, we have unexpected email. Number 2, we have misleading or mismatched information. Number 3, we have the presence of suspicious attachments. Number 4, we have claims of attractive rewards. Number 5, we have the use of urgent or threatening language. And last but not least, the request for personal information. Maybe I'll give you a couple of seconds to look through this, and then we'll go through this together. Let's now go through this together. Number 1, if we look at the sender's email address, we will realize that the domain, the email domain, posbbank.com.sg, is not the legitimate domain. The correct domain should be posbbank.com.sg. This forms one sign of phishing, which is the mismatched and misleading information. Second, we see some customers to lose their money to these hackers. This indicates the use of urgent and threatening language. This forms the second sign. Next, when we look at the link in this phishing email, we see posbbank.com.sg, but that is not a legitimate link. This forms another sign of phishing in this example. Last but not least, we have deactivation of account. Another example of the use of threatening language in order for us to click on the phishing link and potentially provide our personal information, likely our banking information. Now, for our final activity, before I hand over the time to Greg, can any of you tell me which one of these two is a legitimate message? Remember what we learned earlier about studying the links? Yes, for those of you who answered number 2, that is the correct answer. The reason being because if the Singapore government sends mass SMSs to the population, we will always use the go.gov.sg link. If you see a message that claims to be from the government, but the link does not contain go.gov.sg and contains something like bit.ly, you can be assured that it is very likely a phishing message. Please do not click on the phishing message and delete the message immediately. Now, I will hand over the time to ASP Greg Sim, who will share important tips on cybercrime and how to protect yourself as you go online. We'll still see each other later during the question and answer. In the meantime, feel free to post any questions that you may have, and we will be happy to address them later. ASP Greg, please.
Thank you, Benedict, for the insightful sharing. I've ensured that 2FA is enabled on all my accounts, and I've used strong passwords to secure them as well. And I hope all our listeners today will do the same as well. So if you have already done so or intend to do so, please type yes in the comments below. And also for us to gauge that you are still with us. Once again, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Greg, and I'm from the Singapore Police Force Anti-Scam Center. I'm very happy and excited to be able to speak with you today on this very important topic, how to stay safe online, and in particular, how to protect yourself and your loved ones from scams. Let me begin by sharing a case which I've handled previously. Nearing the end of 2019, the Anti-Scam Center was notified that one lady, Madam Goh, had gone to a bank branch and wanted to withdraw $500,000 in cash from her bank account. Now, my team and I went to speak with her in person, but she wasn't forthcoming at all. She said that it was her money and she has every right to do whatever she wanted, but did mention that someone had been contacting her. She even remarked that if the French president could have an older wife, why can't she have a younger lover as well? Now that phrase led us to believe that she had fallen into a love scam. We pressed on and engaged her family members, who said that she often locked herself in her room most of the time, and they have no idea who she was speaking to. And many of them weren't comfortable to talk to her about it, because she calls the shots in the family. And that was when we deliberated further and deduced that, through other leads, she had fallen into a China official's impersonation scam. We mounted an operation when we learned that she was going to hand over even more monies to the scammers. And as a result, 3 syndicate runners linked to the case were arrested. They had on separate occasions handed her items such as mobile phones, SIM cards, and even collected envelopes containing cash from her. One additional runner was arrested by the Taiwanese police in Taiwan and claimed that he collected $700,000 from an old lady at Marine Parade while in Singapore. The luggage he used to collect the monies resembled the same luggage which Madam Goh carried. When Madam Goh was brought to Police Cantonment Complex along with her lawyer for further interview, she still didn't believe that she was in a police station. It was only after we sought assistance from a principal psychologist to speak with her family that her son, who had been residing overseas, flew back to Singapore and eventually convinced her that she had been scammed. The scammers had brainwashed Madam Goh completely into believing that she was involved in money laundering in China. And she had to surrender all these monies to the fake China officials in order to resolve her case and redeem herself. She was also told not to listen to anyone, especially if they identify themselves as officers from the Singapore Police Force. Now, this case exemplifies how syndicated and sophisticated the scammers' operations can be. They leverage on technology, social engineering, and have all the resources and time to convince victims. They understand our key weakness, that is our emotions. And this can happen to any of our loved ones if they aren't careful. So family members, especially, play crucial roles in observing unusual behaviors and intervening quickly to stop their loved ones from falling prey to scammers. With that, let me begin today's sharing on scams and how we can prevent them. Now let's take a look at the following statistics for the first half of 2021. To summarize, overall crime has increased mainly due to the rise in scam cases. The top 5 scams are loan scams, e-commerce scams, investment scams, social media impersonation scams, and job scams. So for today's sharing, I will be going through the top 10 scams affecting our society and how we can protect ourselves and our loved ones from them. Now, to frame the issue, let's think about scams as an evolving phenomenon. Scams have existed from the caveman era, hunter-gatherers, industrial revolution, and up to today, when we are venturing into AI, machine learning, and are predominantly desk-bound. We spend hours in front of a screen most of the time, be it our laptops, handphones, tablets, or even the TV. Scams have evolved just as how technology and cybercrime have evolved. And these days, people may struggle to keep up with these changes. Scam trends are also constantly changing as well. Now, when we wish to understand scams, we cannot tackle every scam typology in isolation. The same scam syndicate may be perpetuating several scam typologies at the same time. Hence, as we learn about how to identify various scams today, we need to appreciate the interconnected nature of scams. Because ultimately, remember this, the scammer's main goal is to siphon monies from victims, and these evolving typologies are just a means to an end. Remember, anyone can fall for scams these days. Now let's talk about loan scams. In loan scams, victims often receive unsolicited text messages offering loans with low interest rates. When they respond to these messages, the sender will request for personal details and get the victim to make multiple payments for various reasons when applying for such loans. Enticed by these very attractive rates, victims accede to these requests and make several transfers and find no loan disbursed to them at the end of the day. Now, do note that licensed money lenders are not allowed to advertise their services. So almost all these texts that you receive on your phone are sent by unlicensed money lenders or scammers. They may even impersonate as legitimate financial institutions, including banks, by spoofing the bank's identity. So ignore, delete, or report such messages when you receive them. And never divulge your personal credentials. Moving on, for e-commerce scams, victims were told to pay upfront deposits, refundable insurance fees, additional delivery fees, taxes, custom fees, what have you, just to buy something online. Buying things online shouldn't be so complicated. Almost all e-commerce scams took place via private text, chat messages, and private bank transfer. Now, we see a trend in hotel staycation scams, COVID-19 related paraphernalia scams, and hand sanitizer scams, for example. And recently, because most people are predominantly working from home and can't go out due to the pandemic, we also see Nintendo Switch scams and Animal Crossing as one of the common items that scammers would want to use to deceive people into buying. Now, it really depends on the latest hype in town, so scammers are quick and nimble to adapt and switch course accordingly to identify what can entice potential victims the best. Now, if you buy anything from a third party through e-commerce platforms like Carousel, Shopee, Lazada, Qoo10, do consider using escrow payment options such as Carousel Protection, or even insist on cash on delivery. Keep yourself safe by dealing on the various e-commerce platforms instead of through private chat or private bank transfers. Reviews at times may be fake as well, because scammers may post the fake reviews to gain social proof in order to convince victims that they are legitimate sellers. So do exercise vigilance. If prices are too good to be true, they probably are. Now, moving forward, let me share about investment scams. Now, these days, there are many fake trading platforms, online trading platforms, and fake applications circulating on the App Store and the internet. While the police are working extremely closely with the Cybersecurity Agency, thanks Benedict, to take these sites down, the scammers are constantly creating newer and more sophisticated ones. We need to be wary about them. Furthermore, scammers are fully aware that many Singaporeans want to accumulate passive income but have no idea how to invest their money, or they are too lazy to learn about proper investing. Scammers know that people want to earn money fast without any hassle. So they identified and filled this gap by developing these fake platforms, promising low risk and high returns to entice victims. And when victims chance upon these platforms through conversations with scammers on online dating platforms or online internet searches and fraudulent advertisements, how these investment scams usually work is that victims will be asked to sign up for an account on these sham websites or applications and deposit monies into the bank accounts provided by the scammers in order to top up their investment account. So once monies have been transferred, the scammers will reflect the monies in these victims' trading accounts. And thereafter, scammers will deceive the victims that they have made monies by arranging for profits to be transferred to the bank accounts of the victims. And this process will repeat for the first few transactions. Victims will then be asked if they wish to upgrade their investment status to VIP status or gold status, and then transfer more monies into the platforms in order to do so. Now, seeing that they have received quick returns on their investments on the onset, victims will be drawn into transferring more and more monies to the scammers to do these things like upgrade their membership or to invest more. Once the larger amounts of monies have been transferred, that is when victims may find themselves locked out of the platform and the scammers will disappear suddenly. Victims may also be asked to pay various administrative fees to release the lock on their accounts on these bogus online platforms. Now remember, scammers are able to completely manipulate such platforms at the back end to deceive victims into believing that their investments are flourishing. In actuality, there is no legitimate investments and no legitimate trading taking place. These are all rigged applications simply to deceive victims into pouring more monies into the scammers' pockets. To protect yourself from such investment scams, refrain from making such investments without making proper due diligence checks. Be aware that there are many fraudulent websites and applications out there that have nothing to do with legitimate investments. They are all fictitiously created by scammers to con victims into transferring monies. Now let me share about social media impersonation scams. In both Facebook and WhatsApp takeover scams, there is an element of impersonation. Scammers prey on Facebook and WhatsApp accounts that are not properly secured using 2FA and can retrieve crucial contact details from a person's social media accounts in order to connect with and deceive the people around one's social network. So by simply requesting the sending of OTPs on the pretext of a lucky draw or contest, scammers can trigger unauthorized transactions from victims' bank accounts or use fintech company solutions to siphon monies from victims. So I always share this. Treat your OTP like your house keys. Your OTP is yours only. Do not divulge it to anyone else. Even if it's a friend or family member asking for it, it is your OTP. So to protect yourself, never divulge all these credentials, personal OTPs, or even banking details to anyone, even if they claim to be your family member or friend. Always do callbacks and verify if indeed this family member or friend, who was the one who requested for the information, needed the information. Because no one has any legitimate reason to request for your OTP. And like what Benedict shared earlier, enable 2FA, two-factor authentication, on your Facebook and WhatsApp account as shared. Moving forward, let's talk about job scams. Now, since the COVID-19 pandemic, scammers have also identified that many Singaporeans have lost their jobs or need extra income to tide through this difficult period. They have devised bogus jobs offering commissions, enticing people to become affiliate marketing agents for e-commerce platforms. Now, despite no legitimate marketing taking place, victims still tend to believe that they are performing a real job, as they have received monies in their bank accounts on the onset. Having heeded the scammer's instructions to add items to shopping carts and taking a screenshot of these items, and thereafter transferring monies to bank accounts provided by the scammers. Now, I just shared how such scams typically work. Otherwise, victims will be deceived into performing specific tasks, such as grabbing orders on various applications, which the scammers tell them to download. Now, such jobs with minimal effort that offer high commissions are too good to be true. So refrain from transferring monies to third-party bank accounts in order to fulfill such job requests, in exchange for job commissions. Now let me share more about internet love scams. In internet love scams, victims tend to receive friend requests on social media or emails from scammers who befriend them online, and they eventually enter romantic relationships with them. Now, these victims have never met their online lovers before and are eventually asked to transfer monies for various purposes, be it to render aid, help their lover out of a crisis, a business failure, or to help fund a surgery or medical expenses, what have you. Some examples even include transferring monies to help them get released from custody at the airport or to pay for custom fees for a parcel containing gifts which was sent by their lovers. Now, the moment these victims transfer monies to the scammers will eventually disappear and be uncontactable. Now, be careful when befriending strangers online, especially when you're asked to send monies to third parties whom you have not met before. And when contacted by a stranger claiming to be a courier company or an agent, requesting for government fines or charges for parcels, know that it is unlikely you are required to make such payments. Stop communicating with such persons, as they are likely from the same scam syndicate. It is hard to convince victims of love scams because more often than not, they have been blinded by love, and when they have transferred most of their life savings to their lovers, it is very difficult to salvage these monies when they get remitted overseas. Now I'll be sharing about phishing scams, which Benedict have touched on earlier as well. Now, for non-bank phishing scams, victims will receive emails or text messages claiming to be from delivery or courier companies. They may also receive fake advertisements proclaiming too good to be true deals, such as the one you see on the screen, to entice them to click on these links and enter their credit card details provided and to claim these offers. Such links tend to be from phishing websites where scammers have planted a trap, and these will result in unauthorized transactions being made on the victim's card. To protect yourself from such phishing scams, remember that no bank or delivery company will request for your card details or OTPs in this manner. Be sure to confirm with the actual delivery company or the actual company concerned by calling their main hotline. Whether or not there is a charge or such an offer, does it exist? Always verify first, beforehand, prior to giving away any of your personal card details or making such payments of any sort. Moving on to bank phishing scams. This may be a bit trickier to spot because the same SMS chain of messages purportedly from the bank may be intercepted by scammers as they spoof the bank's identity in order to deceive victims. So common tactics include phishing links sent on the pretext of helping victims to remedy their blocked ATM card, or even on the pretext of quoting the manner in which the banks actually notify you. So the SMS that you see on the screen is very similar to what the bank will be sending you, but it may contain a phishing link if you aren't careful. To safeguard yourself, remember, no banks will ask you to provide your personal details or bank account login details or OTP over the phone. Legitimate bank staff will ask you a few questions, such as your birthday or your phone number, or even your email, just to confirm your identity, but never your personal banking credentials. Treat your OTP like your house keys, and think carefully before providing your personal data to anyone claiming to be from the bank or even the authorities. Now, in credit for sex scams, victims tend to search for sexual services online through websites and platforms such as Locanto, WeChat, Tinder, for example. And scammers are on the lookout for such victims. Victims will be then asked to make advance payments through purchasing Apple Pay cards, iTunes gift cards, or even Amazon and Razer gift cards, any such cards with a stored value, mostly through convenience stores. They will then be asked to go to AXS machines and release the credits from these stored value cards to the scammers. So be careful when befriending strangers online. Scammers may also use scare and pressure tactics to threaten victims into making payments and more payments to them. The police is working closely with outlet staff from 7-Eleven and Cheers to help prevent such scams. Now, last but not least, let's take a look at government officials' impersonation scams. As I've shared about such cases in the start of my talk, let us not discount that for most people, the authority bias is very real. You know, receiving a call from a person claiming to be from the High Court, Interpol, or a law enforcement agency of sorts, or even the police force, can cause panic and alarm to most people, even when they have not done anything wrong. Now, these scammers recognize this weakness that we have and will come up with all sorts of means and ways to impersonate government officials in order to extort your monies. Such scams tend to be highly syndicated. As you can see, the scammers have even conjured up fake warrant cards and fake warrant of arrest, you know, as in the slide. And these are just to strike fear amongst victims that they are liable for crimes that they have not committed at all. So let us all be mindful and protect ourselves and our loved ones whenever we receive such calls claiming that they are from the authorities. Many of such scams are actually perpetrated from overseas through robocalls, automated calls. And never transfer any monies to anyone claiming to be a government official. And whenever you're in doubt, always verify with a friend, a loved one, or you can simply check with us, the police. Recently, due to COVID-19, there has been an increase in these work-from-home job offers, which have very attractive commissions. Now, be careful when you see such advertisements requesting for you to use your bank accounts to receive and transfer monies under the pretext that you are performing a job for an agency. Now, such tactics are developed by scammers to layer their criminal proceeds through innocent people such as you. And your bank account may be frozen by the police for investigations. And it is, you know, your daily life can be disrupted if you fall into such traps. And do note that it is also an offense under Section 5 of the Payment Services Act for anyone to carry on a business of providing any type of payment services in Singapore without a license. Now, having learned how these various scams are being perpetrated in Singapore, let me assure you that the police is working very hard with the community to combat these scams. Now, these are our 6I anti-scam strategies. The first is information processing, where we gather all these data on scams. Number 2, interventions, where we intervene very early, even before the victim has lodged a police report or called 999. Number 3, investigations and intelligence. That's when we prosecute money mules and scammers to deter them from such criminal activities. And number 4, initiatives and innovation. And that's why we engage strategic partners such as the banks, the fintech companies, online marketplaces, and the telcos to combine our efforts in combating scams. Number 5 is very important, inculcation, such as sessions like these, where we get to share with you about scams so that you can be more informed and make more informed decisions and judgments every time scam creeps up your door. And number 6, international cooperation. It's very important as well that we work closely with foreign law enforcement agencies to conduct joint operations to nail the scammers and disrupt all their operations. Moving forward, let me share with you how we have been working closely with GovTech and the National Crime Prevention Council to develop this application called Scam Shield. Now, this app is very useful to help users block off scam calls and scam messages. So if you haven't downloaded Scam Shield, if you're an Apple iPhone user, please feel free to scan the QR code in the slide to download Scam Shield to protect yourself. You may share about Scam Shield with your friends and loved ones as well. We are currently working with GovTech to develop the Android version as well, and we'll roll it out in due course. How the app works, you can see, when scammers send an SMS, all incoming SMSs from unknown contacts go through the Scam Shield application, and that's when we determine at our end whether a message is a scam related or not, and we will block such messages so that users such as yourself won't receive them. similar to scam calls as well. Now, I want to share a bit more about all the points that I've touched today on recognizing how scams have been so pervasive and how we ourselves are vulnerable. We often wake up in the morning, learning about such things and coming to a conclusion that this will not happen to me. Now, such a view may be dangerous as we have this optimism bias in us. Now, the police would like to remind all listeners and everyone, do not fall for optimism bias. Do not think that it will not affect you, or we aren't so silly to fall for such scams. Because that is the first mistake that we may make. So anyone can fall for scams, regardless of their race, language, religion, age, or educational qualification. Gone are the days where the old and the vulnerable or the uneducated become scam victims. These days, anyone really can be a scam victim. So keep yourself updated on the latest scam trends. Report potential scams to the police as well. And recognize that this threat is real. I often say that the human link is the weakest link. And preventing oneself from being scammed is an individual responsibility. We have some tips on how you can exercise due diligence to protect you, yourself, and your family members from scams. Stay updated on the latest scam trends at the Scam Alert website, which is on the screen, www.scamalert.sg. Exercise caution when answering unsolicited calls, text messages originating from overseas. It is unlikely that you need to answer such calls from overseas, unless you have relatives living abroad. Enable 2FA, two-factor authentication, and never divulge your OTP. Exercise due diligence and use strong passphrases to protect yourselves and all your online accounts. Now, every time you face a call or a message or even you're sent a link, rationalize what you have been told or rationalize what you see. Talk to a friend and be slow to actually click or respond to it. Slow down, take time to think through. Is this really too good to be true? Be slow to click on links and accede to such requests to transfer funds or enter your credit card details or even your OTPs. But be quick to verify and reason. Download the Scam Shield app as I shared earlier. If you or your loved ones are victims of scams, quickly call your credit card issuing company or your bank to report the matter so that the payments can be stopped as soon as possible. Lodge a police report as soon as possible so that we can take action and do the needful to help you. Call the AntiScam hotline at this number, 1-800-722-6688, whenever in doubt. Just to clarify, this is a hotline for inquiries on scams. It is not a reporting channel. You will still need to lodge a police report or call 999 if it's extremely urgent to report scam cases. Alternatively, you may also call the non-urgent police hotline at 1-800-255-0000. With that, I conclude my presentation, and thank you for your kind attention. If you have any questions with regards to what we have shared today on scams, please feel free to put them in the comment section, and we'll be happy to address them. Without further ado, I think we can go into a quiz time so that we can help you recap what has been shared today by both Benedict and myself. So the first question that we have for everyone is, what should you do if you have been phished or are a victim of scam? Number 1, report any fraudulent charges to your bank and cancel your card immediately. Number 2, warn your family and friends to ignore any requests, as the scammer may try to reach out to your contacts using your compromised account. Number 3, change your password or your affected account immediately and enable 2FA if available. Or is it number 4, all of the above? Now, Benedict, I think we covered this extensively during our talk, right?
Yes.
Quite sure that everyone will know how to answer this question. Now let's take a look at some of the replies that we have in your comment section. If you have any, please keep your answers coming in. Oh, and I see that majority of our listeners have chosen option 4. We have quite a good audience today. They have been listening, right, Benedict?
Yes, sure.
Now we have a question. What to do if we have been scammed? Any advice? I think I will take this question. So there is a Q&A section at the end of our talk, but since we see this question, we'll just address it first. So if you have been scammed, like I mentioned earlier, quickly report the matter to your bank or credit card issuing company and lodge a police report immediately. Do take note of the details that are important, such as the date and time of transactions and how much was being transferred. As well, if there is a bank account involved, do note which was the bank account that you were told to transfer the monies to, as these are important information for the police to note when we conduct investigations. Now, moving forward, perhaps we can go to the next question. Benedict, would you like to take us through?
Yeah, sure. Let me fill this question. What are the signs of phishing? Number 1, use of urgent, threatening language. Number 2, the presence of suspicious attachments. Number 3, requests for confidential information. Or number 4, all of the above. Please submit your answers through the Facebook poll once you've got the answer. Remember what we learned earlier, we watched the video as well as we did an activity on phishing. Remember the 6 common signs of phishing that CSA has identified. Are any of these 3 options or all of these 3 options part of the 6 common signs?
Now we see many answers coming in.
And yes, I see that the majority of you answered option 4, all of the above. That bodes well for the decrease in phishing scams.
Hopefully, we see a decrease in scam cases and phishing cases as well.
Yep.
Now, we want to share some resources with you after a talk, as a follow-up from our talk today. You may download the SG CyberSafe Seniors Handbook for more cyber tips on the following website, or you can scan the QR code. You may also visit the Scam Alert website at www.scamalert.sg for more information on scams and keep yourself up to date with the latest scam trends. Do also follow the Cybersecurity Agency and the Singapore Police Force on social media. Our Facebook and Twitter accounts are found on the slide as well. Now, let's go into Q&A time. If you have any questions for Benedict and myself about cybersecurity related issues or scams, please post them in the comment section below, and we are happy to address them.
I see we have got a question incoming. Maybe you would like to take this. It's about scams.
Sure. Now, let me read the question. When a scam was realized, a request was made to the bank to stop the payment, which is by Visa, but the bank refused, saying it is for vendor to cancel the purchase. Which scammer would do that? And in this case, what should we do? Now, there may be many ways where scammers can get access to your credit card details, and it is often challenging because the moment you divulge your details, you have no idea where the money is being spent from and where are all these, where is the originating country. It may be from overseas, it may be local, that such unauthorized transactions are being made. So the first most important tip, like what you say, is to call your bank. But there are some limitations as well, depending on when the transaction was being made or whatever agreement the credit card issuing company or bank may have with various merchants. So there are some challenges faced in this. We may not have all the answers, but the most important thing that you can do to protect yourself is to never divulge your credit card details or your OTPs in the first place. The best thing you can do, lodge a police report and quickly notify your bank about the matter if you haven't already done so. I hope I answered that question. We have another question coming in. If I am unable to track a phone number of the caller whom I know are outright scammers, for example, recorded messages, how do I notify the police? Now, I think I'll answer that. It's difficult if you can't note down the phone number used to contact you. As much as possible, if you see a +65 or a plus, in front of the phone number that is used to call you, it is likely that such calls are originating from overseas, and many of such calls are robocalls or from scam syndicates. So to redirect the focus of the question, perhaps you can ignore such calls or note down the numbers and report them. I see another question coming in. I think, Benedict,
Yes.
you may want to take this one.
Maybe let me say out this question. Hi, I'm using Apple devices. Apple Safari website, I think you mean browser, have auto-generated password and save on their browser. Is this safe? Generally, yes, I would say that it is safe. However, we should still continue to practice cyber hygiene. We should avoid clicking on malicious links. We should avoid downloading malicious attachments in phishing emails that may infect our device with malware and result in a possible data leak of the password that is stored inside the browser. So I hope I answered your question, and yeah, the answer is it is generally safe. I see we have another question on NDA. Maybe Greg would like to take it.
So the question is, why do I still receive SMS on loans, even though I registered with NDA? Now, just to let the listeners know today, the police are working very hard with the telco companies as well as all other forms of telecommunication providers to terminate such numbers and even to stop them from reaching victims. But please bear in mind that the scammers have many ways to contact victims about various scam typologies, be they loan scams or even the other scams that I covered today in my talk. So to protect yourself, the most important thing is actually to recognize that such messages are from scam syndicates and do not respond to them. As always, you can always delete them, block these numbers, or report them to the police and the relevant authorities.
Please feel free to raise any questions related to cybersecurity or cybercrime, and we'll be happy to address them.
We have covered quite extensively today. And I see a very attentive audience that we have with lots of questions and burning questions to find out more. Now, if you have any specific, desire to find out more about any of the scam typologies that we have covered and more, do check out the websites that we have provided. Perhaps we can share about other scam typologies that you have not come across before. I see another one coming in. So another question about antivirus software.
Yeah, maybe I will take this question.
Sure, Benedict.
So the question is, do you recommend antivirus freeware to download from Play Store, and is it safe? So basically, this question is asking about whether we can use free antivirus software to protect our devices from malware. Yes. So the answer is it depends. We need to do our research in order to check whether the antivirus software is the company producing that free antivirus software is reputable or credible. But having an antivirus software, I must also emphasize that having an antivirus software does not absolve us from personal responsibility and practicing cyber hygiene. We should also still refrain from clicking on suspicious attachments. We should still refrain from divulging personal information. So antivirus software usually their basic feature is to scan, detect, and also to remove malware. A paid antivirus software usually will have more features packed into it. But if you are just looking to protect your device from malware, basically, yes, a free antivirus software, I would say, it's okay. It's generally safe to use. But please do your research before you install anything. And as mentioned previously, only install applications from official sources. So the Apple Play App Store for iPhone or iPad, and the Android Play Store for Android devices.
I see one question coming in, which is related to scams. Do you have scam trainers to help our innocent residents from being scammed? Now, the police work very closely with various community groups through the NPC levels, the neighborhood police centers, or through talks such as these from us at the AntiScam Center. So we encourage residents, if they have any questions, any queries, do visit any of our NPCs, or you can even call the scam hotline or visit our websites to check out on all these informations. If you request or require more engagements on this, please feel free to write in to us, as we can also arrange for them. We are always very, very keen to put this message out there to protect residents, especially the more vulnerable ones, from scams. Hope I addressed that question.
I see we have sort of a difficult question, how to tell fake news. Well, personally, to me, I would say that maybe I can answer half and Greg can answer the other
together.
Half. Personally, I think in order to identify legitimate news from fake news, we should always do our research online. There is a wealth of data out there. We can always Google them, or if necessary, we can always ask our friends, our family and friends. We should always try to research and question before we believe anything that we see online. Maybe Greg would like to continue.
I think to address this, it really depends, and due diligence is very important. Do not just forward such fake news that you feel may or may not contain any truth in them. Always verify with official sources or even the authorities. Trust those government-issued distribution lists, such as the go.gov.sg related ones, or even government-related chats, which actually contain the most accurate and up-to-date information. So I think with regards to fake news and the possibility that a particular piece of information is deemed as fake news, I think the first and foremost is not to circulate them freely, but rather to do your necessary due diligence checks and verifications. Always ask or verify whenever in doubt.
So I see we have another question about e-commerce sites requiring credit card details. Maybe I will answer this.
Oh, sure.
So the question for the audience is, well-known e-commerce sites require our credit card details when we make purchases, and I have always been reluctant to do so. In any case, is it safe to do so? Well, now these days we are doing our shopping online, so it is natural for online e-commerce sites to require our credit card details or information in order to pay for goods and services that we purchase. Yes, I would say it is generally safe to do so, but we should also continue to be vigilant. We should always review our financial statements at the month end to check for any suspicious transactions. If there are any suspicious transactions, we should call the bank immediately and notify the police. I understand that for some credit cards, they also provide notifications whenever transactions are charged to our credit card. So that is a possible option for us to implement in order to prevent suspicious transactions from going through. So generally I would say it is safe to do so. I see we have another question, how to do our research. I think this is related to the fake news question, the previous fake news question. So as we mentioned previously, we can research online in Google. We can go to legitimate news websites like BBC Straits Times, Today, 联合早报. We can also ask our family and friends, because they may know more than us sometimes. If necessary, Greg has mentioned an anti-scam hotline earlier. If you feel that this news is suspicious, you can always call the hotline in order to verify. I'm sure our SPF colleagues will be very pleased to assist you in this matter in your research.
Definitely. I think the most important thing that people can do for themselves is to really exercise due diligence and always make the necessary verifications and checks whenever you are in doubt. Do not just handle the matter alone, because if you take a step back, right, like what you mentioned, Benedict, in speak to a friend or a family member, it actually slows down your thought process and makes you deliberate more carefully about the information you're being told or about, you know, a link or an email being sent to you. So speaking with someone definitely helps and is highly encouraged. But going at it alone, that may be dangerous, because we may subject ourselves, you know, to be even more vulnerable. Yeah.
So I see that we have a few more questions. Okay, maybe I will take the first question and we can take the next one.
Oh, sure.
So the first one is, Apple has software updates most of the time. Will these be sufficient to shield us from malicious attacks if we do not wish to purchase any antivirus packages? So as shared previously, it is recommended for us to install an antivirus application in order to scan, detect and remove any malware. Apple by nature has security implemented in its, the design of its systems, so it is generally safe. Yes, so in this case, you mentioned that Apple has software updates most of the time. Yes, you should also regularly implement and update your Apple operating system or any applications that are installed in your Apple device in order to patch any security vulnerabilities. There are also some free antivirus applications, as mentioned previously, that you can consider using. And these antivirus applications also offer a baseline service. They can at least minimally detect and remove malware. There are just no frills attached to this software. So I would still recommend that you install an antivirus software, a free one if necessary, but make sure you do your research before you install the antivirus software. And once again, I emphasize, only install from official sources. So in this case, it's Apple. So Apple App Store, only install from Apple App Store and read the reviews before you do any antivirus installation. So yes, I think I'll pass on to Greg to answer the next question.
Sure. So the next question, we want to answer as many as possible. So very quickly, the question is it safe for us to upload our NRIC for purchase of insurance policy? Now, I want to be very careful when even answering this question, because it's not a definite no, neither is it a definite yes, because you have to be very, very sure that this site that you're uploading your NRIC is indeed the website used by the insurance company. Because there are many phishing links and phishing sites out there to be wary about, as mentioned in our talk earlier. So you have to protect yourself. If you are not comfortable at all to even upload your NRIC, which contains your personal details and even where you stay, things like this, you can even call your insurance agent or your insurance company to arrange for the details to be, transmitted through other means. Get an insurance. I'm sure that the agent is more than happy to come over to meet you, or you can even go down to the insurance company to do the necessary. So I would be very careful if I would, recommend people to even upload their NRIC online, because you may not be accessing a legitimate website. So please do the necessary checks and verifications before proceeding further. Protect your data. That's very important. I see another question. Someone transferred monies wrongly to me some time back and have requested to have it back via SMS. I quickly verified and checked my bank account, and indeed, this monies is in my account. After much deliberation, I transferred it back. Is this the right way? Now, once you receive monies that are wrongfully transferred to your bank accounts, it is good to notify your bank immediately. And it may even make you put your mind at ease if you were to even consider lodging a police report about the matter, that you have nothing to do with these monies. Because these days, fund transfers occur very, very quickly. Within the snap of a finger, monies are actually flowing from one bank account to another. It may be a wrongly transferred sum of monies. you have no idea who the source is from, have no idea why these monies are in your bank account. So it's good to alert your bank and even lodge a police report with regard to it. At least you can protect yourself and also notify the relevant party, such as the bank and the police, that the monies in your account does not belong to you. So that's my advice.
So I see we have another question. Maybe I will take this.
Sure.
So the question is, what about old handphones without updates? And are they no longer safe even to Zoom? Okay, by Zoom, I'm assuming that you are referring to the Zoom platform, which allows us to hold meetings online. So yes, actually you can still use this phone, but you should not use it you should not input any confidential information inside. You should not carry out any banking transactions inside. Just use this phone solely for surfing the net, watching YouTube, or something that does not involve you divulging or inputting any personal data. So yes, to answer your question directly, I would say you can still use it for Zoom, provided the meeting is not confidential. But for any other activities that require you to key in your personal information, I would suggest and strongly recommend that you refrain from using this phone. Use a phone that is still supported by the manufacturer and still receives regular security updates. That is the best way to protect yourself if you still want to use this old handphone. I see we have another question about credit card. Maybe you would like to take it?
Yeah. For purchases using credit cards at e-commerce platforms, usually OTP are required, but I have encountered 1 or 2 instances when the transaction went through without OTP. Maybe it's a small amount, but whose responsibility is it to ensure that the OTP are needed for all amounts? Is it the e-commerce platform or the bank issuing the credit card? Honestly speaking, different platforms and different card issuers generally have the same policy across the board. It really depends on perhaps the platform, right? And what are the terms and conditions stipulated. Honestly speaking, I have no encounter with this. Most of the time, I agree that OTPs are required to perform transactions, but haven't actually personally encountered the need for no OTPs. I think OTPs are very important in securing transactions.
Yes, I would say OTP is very important because credit card numbers, if there was a leakage if your credit card numbers is online, sometimes without the OTP, scammers may use it may charge transactions to your credit card. So I see, so I hope that answers your question. Usually, most credit card companies will have OTP practices when transactions need to be charged to the credit card from the internet. If your credit card does not have this, I would suggest that you call your financial institution and query them on this. This is done to protect yourself from any suspicious transactions that may be charged to your account. So I see that we have reached the end of the question and answer session. Please help assist us to fill in this feedback and let us know whether we have helped you to better understand how you can protect yourself online. You can submit your feedback through the Facebook poll, and we'll give you some time to do this.
Definitely. What's more, you can also check out NSA's 3-hour bite-sized courses offered at $10 net only. There are topics such as artificial intelligence, caregiving, and financial planning for you to choose from. You can pick up these tips and skills from the comforts of your home. If you would like to find out more information or register, visit the NSA booth later.
I would also like to say that All of the information that we have presented so far today in this sharing session, they are present in our respective websites, so csa.gov.sg and spf.gov.sg.
Yep.
Yeah, so for CSA's materials, they are available in all 4 languages, so English, Mandarin, Malay, and Tamil. And feel free to download any of the resources available up there.
It seems like we've come to the end of our session today. So a very big thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention, as well as all your questions coming in. We know that perhaps you may have other burning questions that you want to ask, but didn't have the chance for us to reply them. We'll do our best to address them through other modes and mediums. But nonetheless, we hope that it was a fruitful session for you today. So thank you so much for spending time to listen to us. And most importantly, please remember to be vigilant, protect yourself and your loved ones. And remember, whatever we shared today is really for you and your family, and we have your best interests at heart.
Thank you, and stay safe.
Stay safe and take care.